Myles Garrett, he putting the wrist up. He is 100% all in on Shedeur Sanders being QB1, the face of the franchise at the quarterback position.
Do y'all have the guy? Is Shedeur the guy?
That's what we're looking at as a guy. And he was the last person to be on the field, and he showed some flashes. So we're going to give him an opportunity to show what he can really do, uncork the ball.
Is he the starting quarterback of the Browns in your eyes?
That's not my decision to
You're
make.
a veteran on defense that goes up against him.
Yeah, that's not a decision made. But we got guys still on the roster that that is going to provide good competition at that position. So looking forward to seeing that happen. And let the best guy win. But I think we got a lot of talented guys still in that room that can compete. But he's definitely in a good position to get that starting spot if he wants to go get it.
Myles Garrett, the face of the Cleveland Browns defense, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, the man who's carried this franchise through the darkness, just did something he's never done before. He went public, he went all in, and he didn't just throw his support behind Shedeur Sanders, he practically handed him the keys to the kingdom. This isn't your typical politically correct athlete speak. This is Myles Garrett telling the world exactly what's happening in Cleveland, whether the front office is ready to admit it or not. And the implications, they're seismic. Let's break down what just happened, why it matters, and what this means for the Cleveland Browns moving forward. Radio Row at the Super Bowl is typically a circus of rehearsed sound bites and corporate-approved messaging. Players show up, say the right things, plug their sponsors, and disappear into the media chaos. But when Myles Garrett sat down with Micah Parsons for his podcast, something different happened, something real.
Do y'all have the guy? Is Shedeur the guy?
That's what we're looking at as a guy. We're going to give him a shot to prove that he's a guy. So we're not going to give anyone that title until they go out there and earn it. And he was the last person to be on the field, and he showed some flashes. So we're going to give him an opportunity to show what he can really do, uncork the ball.
Now on the surface, that sounds like standard quarterback competition talk, right? But here's where it gets fascinating. Myles Garrett didn't stop there. He kept going. He doubled down. And the body language? According to multiple analysts breaking down the interview, Garrett was flashing his watch, making gestures, sending signals that went way beyond his words. This is a man who knows something. This is a man who's been told something. This is a man who's all in on Shedeur Sanders as the future of the Cleveland Browns. Let's talk about the watch for a second, because this detail is absolutely critical to understanding what's really happening here. Multiple sources who watched the full interview noticed that Myles Garrett, a player who has never been known for flashy displays or showboating, repeatedly gestured to his wrist during the conversation about Shedeur Sanders.
So with Myles Garrett, he was at the getting his Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
He just sitting there, he got his watch on. Now Myles Garrett ain't never flashed a watch in his life. Matter of fact, I don't even know he wears.
So you think Myles Garrett wearing a watch is because of
No.
Did he do the wrist up?
He did this.
He did?
Multiple seconds in a row.
He did?
And looked at it. Yeah, he did that.
This isn't a coincidence. This isn't random. In NFL culture, in sports culture, these gestures mean something. They're signals, they're statements. And when your franchise defensive player is making these signals while discussing your quarterback of the future, that's not subtle, that's intentional. The message is clear. Shedeur's time is now, not later, not maybe, now. But wait, it gets better. Because Myles Garrett wasn't the only Browns defensive star speaking up during Super Bowl week. Denzel Ward, the team's all-pro cornerback, sat down with Kay Adams and delivered a message that was remarkably similar in substance, even if slightly more measured in delivery.
Is he the starting quarterback of the Browns in your eyes?
That's not my decision to make.
You're a veteran on defense that goes up against him.
Yeah, that's not a decision made. But we got guys still on the roster that that is going to provide good competition at that position. So looking forward to seeing that happen. And let the best guy win. But
now some people heard that and thought, oh, he's being political. He's playing it safe. But listen closer. Listen to what Ward is actually saying beneath the diplomatic language. He's saying Shedeur is in a good position. He's saying if Shedeur wants it, it's there for the taking. That's not neutral, that's encouragement, that's endorsement wrapped in professional courtesy. Here's where the Cleveland Browns find themselves in an absolute mess of their own making. They're paying Deshaun Watson $46 million this year. Let that number sink in for a moment. $46 million for a quarterback who has been, by almost every statistical measure, one of the worst starters in the NFL over the past 2 seasons. The conversation around this financial disaster has been unavoidable, and even Myles Garrett couldn't dodge it during his interview.
Yeah, you paying another guy $46 billion. Is he going to get a shot?
I feel like everyone on the roster is going to get a shot. You know, he was the last guy on the field, so he's obviously going to get first service. And, you know, Deshaun, you know, whoever else on the roster, they're going to get a real look.
Did you catch that? Everyone gets a shot, but Shedeur gets first service. Not co-equal opportunity, not a true open competition. First service, first dibs, first opportunity to prove he's the guy. That's not how you talk about a 5th-round rookie competing against a $46 million quarterback, unless you already know how this story ends. Enter Todd Monken, the new head coach who's walking into this absolute circus of a quarterback situation. And here's where the dynamics get really interesting, because Monken doesn't have the same baggage, the same history, the same emotional investment in Deshaun Watson that the previous regime had. One analyst on the Cleveland sports scene broke down Monken's approach perfectly, highlighting something the new coach said when he was still with the Baltimore Ravens.
The very first thing Todd Monken said was this. It was an interview when he was with the Baltimore Ravens when he got there, and they were talking about his relationship with Lamar Jackson and what he's looking for in a quarterback. He said, what I'm looking for in a quarterback is I want to hear what the other people, his teammates, say about him. I want to see what they feel about him, because that gives me an opportunity to understand how and who the leader really is.
Read between the lines here. Monken wants to know what the players think. He wants to know who the locker room believes in. And if Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward are any indication, the locker room believes in Shedeur Sanders. This is significant because it suggests that the typical organizational hierarchy, where the front office picks the quarterback and the coach implements the decision, might be flipped here. Monken is empowering the players to have a voice, and that voice is screaming one name: Shedeur Sanders. Now let's be honest about something that the Shedeur Sanders truthers don't always want to acknowledge. His rookie season wasn't great by traditional statistical measures. He played in limited action, the offensive line was a disaster, the play calling was questionable, and the results were mixed at best. But here's what the stats don't capture: the feel of those games. The moments when Shedeur was on the field, something changed. The offense moved, they completed passes, they sustained drives. Were they scoring touchdowns left and right? No, but they looked like an actual NFL offense for the first time in what felt like forever.
Go back to the Raiders game when they completed the first ball. You see Myles Garrett turn around and look crazy and all those
overall,
things.
they didn't score enough.
I agree with you.
That's the key right there. The defense noticed. The guys on the other side of the ball, the ones who practice against the offense every single day, they saw something in Shedeur that gave them hope, that made them believe, that made them think, finally, we might have a guy. You can't fake that. You can't manufacture that kind of organic support from your defensive stars. Either you have it or you don't. And Shedeur Sanders has it. Let's circle back to the Deshaun Watson situation, because this is where the rubber meets the road for the Cleveland Browns organization. They're stuck in an impossible position. They're paying Watson $46 million. They can't cut him without taking a massive dead cap hit. They can't trade him because nobody wants that contract. They're trapped. But here's the thing. Being trapped doesn't mean you have to make bad decisions going forward. And starting Deshaun Watson over Shedeur, if Shedeur is legitimately better, would be exactly that, a bad decision compounded by sunk cost fallacy. One analyst put it perfectly when discussing this dilemma.
Without a doubt.
There you go.
There were things that were said about Shedeur.
He said there were lies that was told. We're not going to play word semantics and play these games. Those were lies that were told. Shedeur Sanders coming into the meeting wearing headphones, not listening. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Stop it, bro. Stop it.
But there's a counter argument that's equally compelling. If you're paying someone $46 million, don't you have to at least see if there's anything left in the tank? Don't you owe it to yourself, to your franchise, to your fan base, to find out if Deshaun Watson can somehow recapture even a fraction of what made him special in Houston?
$46 million sitting on the bench for an all-pro quarterback.
It's a lot of money, bro.
Is what it is.
So let me ask you.
I'm not going to have $46 million sitting on the bench for Shedeur to go out there and figure out a sophomore slump. I'm not going having $46 million on the bench to go 5-12.
It's a valid point. The money is gone regardless. It's already spent. It's guaranteed. So maybe, just maybe, you give Watson a legitimate shot to prove he can still play, knowing full well that if he can't, you've got Shedeur Sanders waiting in the wings. But here's what makes the Myles Garrett endorsement so powerful. It signals a culture shift that goes beyond just the quarterback position. For years, the Cleveland Browns have been an organization defined by dysfunction, by poor decision-making, by loyalty to the wrong people for the wrong reasons. Garrett going public with his support for Shedeur represents something different. It represents players taking ownership of their franchise's future. It represents stars holding management accountable. It represents a refusal to accept mediocrity just because it's expensive mediocrity. We can't ignore the elephant in the room. Deion Sanders, Shedeur's father, and the shadow he casts over this entire situation. Some of the media coverage around Shedeur has been unfairly influenced by narratives that had nothing to do with his actual performance or character.
Because it didn't help. I tried my best.
Nothing you did
I tried my best to help.
Whoa, Coach Prime not playing.
Just told me he was kind, he was wonderful.
He shook everybody's hand.
Yeah.
I tweeted it.
But you didn't tell that to nobody.
Yes,
You
I did.
kept it
I
a
tweeted
secret.
It went viral.
Nobody saw it.
I spread the good word of how kind Shedeur Sanders was.
But you let the whole world lie on it.
I tried.
Did you notice that all that stuff just kind of just went away? So
But
you agreed that it was slander?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was horrendous. It was horrendous.
It was character assassination.
Deion is absolutely right. The pre-draft character assassination of Shedeur Sanders was disgraceful. Stories about him wearing headphones in meetings, not knowing the playbook, being selfish, none of it was true. None of it held up to scrutiny, but the damage was done. He fell to the 5th round because of lies. And now he's getting his chance to prove all of them wrong. With Myles Garrett in his corner, with Denzel Ward believing in him, with Todd Monken willing to listen to what the players think. So where does this leave us? The Cleveland Browns have a quarterback room featuring Deshaun Watson at $46 million, Shedeur on a rookie contract, and Dillon Gabriel as an afterthought. They have a new head coach who values player input. They have their franchise defensive player publicly endorsing the rookie. The most likely scenario? Shedeur enters training camp as the presumptive starter, with Watson getting a legitimate opportunity to compete. If Watson somehow looks good, and that's a massive if, maybe there's a conversation. But if he looks like the same shell of himself that we've seen for 2 years, the job is Shedeur's. And honestly, that's exactly how it should be. Because at some point, organizations have to stop doubling down on expensive mistakes and start building towards the future. The Browns have spent years being held hostage by bad contracts and worse decisions. Myles Garrett just told them and the entire NFL that the future is already here. His name is Shedeur Sanders, and Cleveland better not mess this up. The watch has been flashed, the signal has been sent, the message is clear. Shedeur Sanders is QB1 in Cleveland. Whether the front office admits it yet or not, the locker room has already decided. And in the NFL, that's what really matters. The revolution starts now, and it's being led by the league's best defensive player betting on a 5th-round rookie to save a franchise. Welcome to Cleveland, Shedeur. Myles Garrett just handed you the keys. Now, go prove everyone wrong.